Crafters, this is Paulette. It is actually already October. I am so far behind. So we're going to do September 2014 name tags today. I will be cleaning this stamp every time I use it. So I've got my little homemade stampy cleany thing here. I'm adding some water and some Stampin' Up cleaner. And that's just going to be over here on the side, so I can use that. I have pre-cut my little cards to 2.5 by 3 1/4, and we'll do, let's do 2. This is a homemade stamp that my daughter made in 2001. I wrote on here age 12, and then I just sketched here because I have used this before to make a couple of beautiful tablecloths. It's like, it's almost like the eraser. I think that's what it is. The eraser material, and then they carve it out with the carving tools, and I just love it. It's just beautiful. Of course, I love everything that my kids made in art class, so my little cards are sized according to these name badges, and these are just some that I picked up at Walmart, and this is the vertical one. There is a horizontal one that hangs like this, and I would have preferred that. I think I would have. I don't know. This has worked out really well the last few years doing the vertical. It really gives a lot of room for, you know, stamps. So we're going to do the rock and roll technique, and I've got a couple colors of Stampin' Up ink here. This one's Cherry Cobbler. That is my outside color. And this one is Pumpkin Pie. That is my inside or base color. And I'm going to stamp in the orange first. And because this is a homemade stamp, I'm going to scruff it. And this is, there's even some Chihuahua hair in here. This is the older style pad with the fabric, so I'm just going to scruff it on there to be sure and get the whole thing covered. And then I'm going to just roll the edges in the Cherry Cobbler. And I'm going to, some of these I didn't do so hot lining them up. I'm going to try to, this one's good, where it's, you know, a little bit of space on each side. So I'm going to try to do that. And I really need, this is a magazine wrapped in a piece of really thin cardstock. I didn't feel like I was getting a very good impression, so let me breathe on that because I've been doing too much talking instead of stamping here. I didn't feel like I was getting a good impression on my glass mat, which is what I really prefer to stamp on. Now, I'm going to do a second generation. I'm going to breathe on the stamp, so I'll try to cover the microphone. And just rotate it and stamp again right on top of the other leaf. Now, this, I don't know. It may seem weird. I actually think it turned out okay. Even though this has a lot of open space, you know, after I got done, it just kind of reminded me of those kind of bare bone leaves. Now I'm going to clean the stamp just here to the side. And after you clean, you really need to stamp off. Can you see the color that left there? And you can see here where I've been stamping. And get rid of all that moisture before you stick it back on your ink pad. And then we're going to roll, rock and roll around the Cherry Cobbler. Give a good impression. I'm going to huff on it. Turn it and stamp again. And I'm going to go ahead and clean this just so it's not absorbing ink while we're getting ready to go the next time. I'm going to use that Months of the Year wood stamps by the Paper Studio. I'm really starting to wish that I had a stamp set that was just abbreviations. Some of the first card I did, I stamped that whole SEPT because that's how September is usually abbreviated. Because the The E is kind of curved in towards the T. I had a really hard time selectively stamping because see, the T ends right here, and that is the whole back line here of the E. So I ended up choosing just to go SEP, and it looks a little weird. I may come in here and put a dot behind them just to, I don't know, what do you think? To make it not look so weird. I don't like for things to be uneven. What I need to do is invest in a stamp set that is just abbreviations, and then I won't have to worry about it. So we've got our stamping done, and we're going to go ahead and use that stamp set with the Ranger Archival Jet Black ink. And I'm just going to selectively ink the SEP. Okay. And I don't know if it needs that or not, but I'm just going to put it in there because I feel like it's too odd without it. And that was my Zig photo signature pen. This is for writing on the back of photos, and it's awesome. You write on there and it just dries right away. It doesn't fade through to the photo. I've got another little marker that I use, and it's out of place. So that's why I'm using that today. And then I'm going to take two Copics. I've got R17 Lipstick Orange and RV69 Peony. And I am going to use the brush tip end, and I'm just going to draw in these little blank areas where the ribs on the leaves would be. I wasn't sure when I first stamped these if, oh, do I need to fill that in? And then I felt like I did. So I just chose a couple of markers that I thought would maybe enhance the colors in each leaf. And then the lipstick orange, and I have marked this because it is so close to the red and the other orange that I have that I was having to read the ends. So I don't want to have to do that, and I don't want to get it mixed up with the red or the other orange, so I've marked it. Also, brush tip end on this one. And I wondered if I shouldn't have just used a red on this leaf, but I did a couple and decided that it was really okay. So I think you could really go in any direction. Fall leaves are such a myriad of colors that I think you could just really use your own creative license there, or just experiment. And since we haven't rounded the corners on quite a few, I thought we'd go ahead and do this. My corner rounder is starting to get a little bit dull. It's about time to buy another one. I wish they lasted a little bit longer. Okay, so all that is done. Let's get rid of this. Now I really struggled over what color to ink around the edges. And you know, I think probably any color would have been pretty. I was tempted even to do blue. I did pull out blue as well, and ultimately decided on this purple color. Again, I think you could do just whatever. Use your own creative license and step out and just do it. I like to do this on my glass mat, or you could do it on any slick surface. And I'm going to pick up a little bit of ink there. I kind of blend the ink in right here, but I've got quite a bit of ink in there, so I'm going to just smoosh it in a circle on my mat. That gives it a little bit better application when you go to your paper. Not always, but usually. It looks like I've got some concentrated places in there that are making some little kind of smears, but this is all fall and rustic, so I'm going to run with it. I could clean this off or just get a new one. Either way. And I'm just going to get the ink that's right here instead of touching the ink pad. And if you get any really weird spaces, you can take an eraser and erase them. And just come back in again. I am using white cardstock, the heavy white from the Paper Studio that I get at Hobby Lobby. And there we have it. And I also used that photo pen to write my name on there. So just a very quick, very easy card with a homemade stamp. If you guys have any questions, be sure and let me know.